What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So the Vargo has been released at this point of recording about 3 days at this point, and I already unlocked diamond camo for it. So I thought I'd just share my last thoughts of the weapon with all of you guys for you to decide whether or not you guys want to actually run this for this season moving forward. So I know a lot of you guys asked me whether or not, because I know some of you guys probably haven't unlocked the weapon yet, but some of you guys have asked me whether or not the Vargo-S was actually meta or was at least up there, you know, in terms of like the top weapons. So as it goes for every weapon that I grind, I do pour quite a bit of time on, I guess, learning how the weapon works, kind of getting a feel for it, and kind of discovering what the best class setup is to use. And given that this is a Vanguard weapon, I knew right from the start it would be kind of, I guess, a more challenging type of weapon to build out compared to, let's say, a Black Ops setup or just a regular COD mobile setup. But I was actually amazed on how difficult it actually was to set up. And not only just for normal usage, but also for, you know, grinding out your camos. A lot of attachments that you would think would work do not work. For example, getting long shots with the 20 round marksman rounds do not work at all. I mean, you could barely hit anything at a long range, but of course in close range it does a little bit better, but not as great as you would think it would. But, you know, as I was using it in shipment as well as battle royale during, you know, Alcatraz tournament mode, I kind of learned that yes, while this weapon does kill fast at a pretty close range, I would say close to mid range, there are a couple of things that this weapon reminds me of. So in terms of performance, the best way I could describe the Vargo is if it's like an AK-117, like just completely built with light attachments with higher recoil, but very good accuracy. But also with the bullet speed of the AS Val. So bullet speed, I would say, is probably one of the biggest downsides of the gun because it doesn't let it perform the way that it probably should as an assault rifle. So before this, you know, when the weapon was being shown by the COD Mobile developers, the original bullet speed was actually over 800, but for some reason they changed it down to like 650 or something like that. However, what makes the situation a little bit worse with this weapon is the fact that there's not a lot of attachments out there that could actually increase the bullet speed. The heavy barrel that it does have that gives you 30% more range doesn't even increase your bullet speed at that. And not only that, if you have the 30 round mag that it does have, I think it's like the 7.62 rounds or whatever, it's like it's a more powerful magazine. That does increase your bullet speed by a little bit, but again, at the cost of a massive amount of recoil control. Some actually suggested using the 60 round magazine for this weapon, and I highly advise against it, mainly because it also does reduce your bullet speed. So you're going to end up with less than 600 meters per second of bullet speed, which is it's really bad for an assault rifle. The bullet speed by itself, without any attachments on it by default, is still very bad for assault rifle standards. You would think that the AS Val, which is very well known for having the lowest bullet speed for most of the assault rifles, you would think that one was actually bad, but at least it has something to increase the bullet speed that doesn't involve basically tearing down your weapon's control. A lot of people actually recommended using that barrel that increases the fire rate. It doesn't really reduce your bullet speed. It does reduce a little bit of your sprint to fire, but it also, I guess, reduces your recoil control by a little bit. But given that it fires way faster with the same damage, no deductions to any multipliers is actually insane. So that's why I say this thing is actually pretty much a demon in close range. Again, like shipment levels of close range. If it's something else, you might have a little bit harder time actually getting kills, let's say in firing range or in Tunisia or something if you're playing Search and Destroy. But another good quality of it is the fact that you could actually 3-shot to the chest at a decently high range. I wouldn't say it's like over 20 meters, but you can get it to that point, but you would probably have to change to that long barrel to do that. But again, if you want to keep the fast fire rate, you can't really use that barrel, so it kind of sucks either way. But the fact that it does have the ability to potentially save your life in a close engagement, that does help. I will say that. And, you know, the best recommendation, especially for magazines, since both of the, like the, you know, the 30 round and the 60 round drum kind of suck, I would actually recommend just using the 45 round drum because that's the only one that, I mean, it increases your ammo capacity, but it doesn't really fundamentally change the range or the bullet speed or anything. It's, if anything, it's probably the most neutral magazine attachment that there is for this gun. Best thing you could do after adding those two attachments is just to, I guess, increase the mobility. And as for the muzzle, if you want, you could have a suppressor, or you could just have the recoil booster to have a little bit more of a firing range. At that point, it doesn't really matter. You could also add like a stock to help with some recoil control, which I'm surprised that, you know, with Vanguard setups, it is kind of weird because, like, you know, usually when you have stocks that increase your ADS movement speed, you're usually used to having some sort of recoil penalty. But for some reason, with the Vanguard attachments, at least when it comes to their stocks, it actually helps you with recoil if you do have some fast moving stock. There's one, I forgot what it was called, but it gives you like 20% strafe speed, but at the same time, it gives you like 7 or 8% horizontal and vertical recoil. I mean, that's kind of just mind blowing to me. I'm not used to seeing that. Again, the main downsides of this weapon is its bullet speed and its recoil, but I do want to talk about the recoil a little bit. So I know a lot of people have kind of criticized the recoil to no end with this gun, but if you really think about it, I mean, it's only bad, like vertically at least, if you just continuously shoot. I think that honestly, that's really just the case with any weapon in this game. You know, if you just keep endlessly firing, of course, the gun's just going to keep going up. But of course, it's a little bit different with this one because the vertical recoil is a lot more, I guess, pronounced. You know, it's going to go up a lot more easily when you just keep firing nonstop. So obviously, I wouldn't recommend just endlessly firing like if it's like some sort of MG42 because it's not really going to work in your favor. I would actually recommend just, you know, if you know you have your sights set on a person, yeah, just fire on them. And if they're at a long range, just maybe, you know, tap fire a little bit, keep that recoil controlled, and that's really all you have to do. Given that in close range, I get 3-tap to the chest and the head. I know this is going to give me a lot of flack, but I kind of understand why they have a recoil penalty in the first place. It's to kind of keep it balanced. And I know I got kind of a bit of criticism on the video with the Vargo originally, you know, when I was talking about how well it, or I guess how horribly it did when grinding it. Some people were trying to assume that I was trying to, like, I guess hoped that it would actually replace the Type 19. And, you know, for me personally, it's the ranked meta. I don't care what's there. I mean, right now everyone's still using the USS9. I mean, ranked is just a cesspool of just idiots that can't use anything that actually takes any skill. But one of the comments made it seem like I was actually complaining that it wasn't replacing the Type 19. And again, for me personally, I don't care if it does or does not. I mean, it doesn't matter. But like, you know, given that it fires around the same speed as, like, let's say Naked 117 or even a Type 19, I thought maybe it could replace it. And again, I do not know because it seems like people still like to use the Type 19 despite its mobility nerf. So again, if people feel like it's better than the Type 19, that's their opinion. Do I think it's better than Type 19? No. I mean, it does kill fast, but again, recoil control is still an issue. So unless they make some sort of mini update, or, you know, maybe in Season 5, they do some buffs for the Vargo, I don't really see it being really that competitive. If anything, I would recommend just using it for casual play, you know, just if you like using the weapon, just use it there without having to worry about getting wrecked in every single game. But anyways, these are my, I guess, my final impressions on the weapon. Of course, it's always subject to improve in the later season. So yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more COD Mobile content. I'll see you guys next time.